Hi! Now that we have installed Eclipse, let's see what else is needed in order to be able to develop Android applications. I'm going to open up a web browser and search for Eclipse IDE bundle on Google. The first link on the result page contains information about how to set up the Android SDK. I'm going to choose Eclipse IDE and then we'll scroll down and we'll click on Continue, adding SDK packages. These SDK packages will download and install specific versions of Android Software Development Kit, which will allow us to develop mobile applications. Let's see what are the necessary steps to install these SDKs. We need to install the following components: Android SDK Tools, Android SDK Platform Tools, the latest version of Android SDK Build Tools, at least one SDK platform, and an optional system image used by the emulator in case we want to use the default emulator that comes with Eclipse. Let's get back to our IDE and see how we can install these. I'm going to open up the Android SDK Manager either by the icon located in the toolbar or by going to the window menu and selecting Android SDK Manager from there. Now that the Android SDK Manager has started, let's see one more time what are the components that we need to install. First is the Android SDK Tools. Some of these components are already installed in our system by default, and looks like Android SDK Tools is one of them. Next are the Android SDK Platform Tools. Again, these are already installed in our system. Then there are the Android SDK Build Tools. These are also installed in our system. Here you want to make sure that the latest version of the Build tool is installed. In our case is version 20. Next on the list is the SDK platform. You need to have at least one SDK platform installed, but there could be more of these SDK platforms installed in case you want to test your application on several Android versions like 2.3, 3.0, 4.4 and so on. The latest SDK version at this time is Android L, but this version is still in preview or beta stage, so we don't want to use that for our applications yet. But this could be used to test if your application is compatible with the upcoming Android L version. Instead, we are going to select a final version to test our app, and the latest version at this time is 4.4W, where W stands for wearables. So this is the latest Android version, which also includes support for wearable devices like smartwatches. As we can see, the SDK platform for this version is already installed. Then there is a system image. These are used as emulators in order to test our app in a virtual device. I'm going to deselect this because these specific emulators are used for wearable devices, and I'm not going to test my application on a smartwatch. Instead, we'll install a separate emulator to test our application. By scrolling down, we can see that other components are needed in order to be able to develop Android applications. These are located in the Extras folder of the SDK Manager. And from here, we need to install Android Support Repository and Android Support Library. By opening the Extras folder, we can see that the Android Support Repository is not installed in our system, so I will check this to be installed. The other component, Android Support Library, is already available. Next, we need a Google repository and Google Play services. This can also be found in the Extras folder. I'm going to check both of these as none of them are already installed. And finally, we need to install the specified packages by clicking the Install button. This will install 10 packages, but I didn't select so many to be installed, so some of them are already selected and I will need to deselect them and only install the ones needed. Let's scroll back and see what are the extra packages that are selected. I'm going to deselect anything from Android L version as we'll not use it at this time. And now only 5 packages are going to be installed. This is okay, so I will click the install button. Then we'll accept the license agreement and we'll again click on install. I'm going to fast forward the video here as this could take some time. And there is one more package to be installed. Now that the SDK components are installed, we can start develop Android applications. Another alternative to the Eclipse IDE is Android Studio. I will open up a browser window and will search for Android Developer Studio on Google. Android Studio is an IDE created by Google for developing Android applications. The reason why we are not using it in this course is because Android Studio is still in beta stage. It might contain bugs and some features may not work as expected, but in time, this will be a great alternative to Eclipse for developing Android applications. We can see that even a tutorial on how to migrate from Eclipse to Android Studio is available. So, to summarize, in this lesson we installed the necessary components in Eclipse that will allow us to develop on Reskin Android applications. We are now ready to start reskinning our games.